All right, everybody. I'm going to start doing a weekly video on here where I share some of the things that came up over the week on the running side of news and just give some sort of off the cuff type of thoughts about it. I'm also going to share with you a workout that I did this week that I found fun, that maybe stood out a little bit, and give you some options to maybe include it, if you like it, into your own training. So let's get going. So this week, one of the things that actually popped up the most, or maybe went the most viral, was during the week, the LA Marathon, which occurred this week, announced that they were going to give this opportunity for runners to essentially stop if they wanted to at mile 18 and still claim their finisher's medal. So the running world kind of blew up a bit about that because, for one, people were thinking, wait a second, 18 miles isn't a marathon. Why are you giving out a finisher's medal to somebody who essentially did not finish or DNF'd? And other people were like, well, hey, wait a second here. Running's a growing sport right now. There's a lot of new people in it. The marathon is a pretty high bar. Why not give people the opportunity to get what otherwise would still be a pretty big achievement by collecting their medal, even if they can't get beyond 18 miles?
Of the 26.2 miles to get that finisher's medal.
This is the organizer website. It says having a tough day. If you're having a tough day and want to end your race before 26.2, you can choose to take the turn at mile 18 and head into the finish line.
I tend to kind of lean more towards the former side of that, where the marathon is what it is. It's meant to be challenging. It's meant to be difficult. It's meant to offer an opportunity for you to take a risk that may not play out the way you want it to. And I think failing is a great learning lesson for people, and something that I don't think we should just try to minimize as much as possible. I think a better route here would have been, say, okay, we understand the marathon is difficult. It's a high bar. We're going to offer what you could label as a 30-kilometer or something like that, because that's roughly where they would have let you peel off the course and get your finisher's medal at, and say, okay, I did this 30-kilometer. And if you really want, you could even offer the ability for someone to flex towards that during the race. That wouldn't be without precedent. I've seen this in ultra marathons before. In fact, Javelina 100 used to do this, where they've got their 100-mile and their 100K. It's a 5-loop course for the 100-mile. It's a 3-loop course for the 100K. And it used to be that you could sign up for the 100-mile, and if you decided during the race, you know what, I'm good at 100K, I'm going to switch to that event, they would give you a 100K finish as a result if you decided to do that. They've since moved on from that. They've since decided, no, we're not going to do that anymore. But if you really want to do that, kind of mixing these two world type of things, I think you could do that. You could say, all right, you can sign up for this 30K outright and just do the 30K, or you can sign up for the marathon on race day, and if you decide midway or whatever during it that you want to pivot to the 30K, we'll let you do that, and we'll switch you to the 30K finish versus the marathon finish. I think where people have a problem with this is it feels like, hey, we're giving this marathon completion goal credit to somebody who isn't quite there yet for one reason or another. And I can appreciate that. I think it's fine to have these high standards with respect to these things, and then give people things to work towards versus shortcuts, so to speak. The other topic in the running world was the half marathon world record went down this morning. And when these things happen, I just kind of like to put them in perspective, because things like road half marathons, or even the marathon, sometimes you see these finishing times. It doesn't always necessarily compute exactly how insane the sport is in terms of the high end of competitive pressure. So the finishing time for the half marathon world record was 57 minutes and 20 seconds by Kiplimo. And by doing that, he had to average what came out to a 4-minute, 22-second per mile pace. So that usually clicks for a lot of people. That's pretty fast. So imagine doing 13.1 of those continuously. But to make that even more interesting, I like to think of it, what would that be like if you got out on a track and just ran? That would be the equivalent of running 65-second 400-meter track loops for 52 in a row without stopping. So that's pretty crazy. I mean, when I think of just doing 400-meter repeat workouts. I actually just did one a few weeks ago as kind of like an intro to my training season, or the structure for my training season. And my target in there was like between 70 to 75 seconds. So I did 12 of them with a 200-meter jog in between, and was hitting like around 72 seconds. So just think about that. Like Kiplimo ran 7 seconds per lap faster than that continuously for 13.1 miles. And that's why he's the world record holder. All right, so finally, a workout that I did this week that I wanted to share and maybe give you some ideas if you want to implement it is actually a bike workout. So one thing I've been doing in training since around mid-year last year is adding more structured biking throughout the training cycle to give me opportunities to continue to improve fitness, work on things that I think will make me a faster 100-mile racer, but also limit some of the potential risk factor of all the impact that comes along with running long distance. So one of the workouts that I like to do on the bike is short intervals, because short intervals are important in helping a runner improve their efficiency. It's higher on the aerobic intensity spectrum. It's just very unspecific to the pace or the intensity that I would do for 100 miles. So it's a type of workout that's important in me being my best on race day, even for 100 miles, even though it is drastically different from a pacing standpoint. So when we get into those important but non-specific type workouts, I think the opportunity to do those on non-specific terrains or non-specific types, so like bike versus run, it's just a greater opportunity because there's not as much potential loss by not being exactly as specific with the running mechanic as it would be if, say, I was trying to train for a 5K and then I'm doing my 5K interval splits on a bike versus out on the track or the road, where now we're in the world of specificity being very, very needed in terms of wanting to be doing the actual thing you're doing. So since that's not the case for me, I find this to be a really good opportunity in my training phase to do that. And the workout that I really like for this is 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 30 times. So the way you do it is you get a nice warm up on the bike until you're ready to go. Then you give it a good hard push for 30 seconds. Then a nice, easy, relaxed recovery spin for 30 seconds. And you repeat. You repeat that 30 times. So you end up getting 15 minutes of total volume at that higher end of the aerobic intensity spectrum, and a really good workout that will have you feeling like you are accomplished and ready to take on whatever is next. So if you want to do that, I think that's a great one for people to try. You can modify it a bit for someone who is maybe new and wants to do a little bit less volume. You can reduce that down to 20 by 30 on, 30 off. You could go more, although I do usually caution people from getting too aggressive with adding more volume to VO2 max or higher intensity, higher on the aerobic intensity spectrum type workouts, because they are fatiguing. And I know as an ultra runner, a lot of times it's easy to look at things like volume as the big mover in terms of training load. But when we get into the world of short intervals, a very little bit of volume can have a very big impact. So you do want to be careful not to overdo it and steal from tomorrow, so to speak, by doing such a big workout that you find yourself in a situation where when it's time to do another one, you're unable to because you're still recovering from the one before. So that's the workout for this week. Try it out. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you all next week.